I always thought it would be cool if you could go back and listen to the day-to-day of today's highest achievers as it happened, as opposed to 30 years later after they've made it. I believe there's a giant disconnect between ground zero and the top floor because we only see the top floor and the top floor only talks about the top. You know, how valuable would that be? And so it goes without saying, but I believe I'll make it there. And this is the documented journey through each level. My name is Bryson Sessions, and you are listening to the Bed Podcast. I'm actually in a really similar spot to where I recorded yesterday's show, so same thing, AirPods, just outside, doing whatever. So anyway, the quality shit, that's why. So I just talked with a stranger, part of phase 3, and I think I overthink this shit, man, because I don't know if it counted or not. I think if I have to ask that, it probably doesn't. It was such a short conversation. I'm doing my outdoor cardio too, so I'm trying to, if anything happens, I'm trying to keep it so brief to where I don't have to stop. And if I do, then I guess limit that to like 10 seconds. But can you have a conversation in 10 seconds? Like you can, but I don't know. We went back and forth on the exchange like 4 times each. And I don't know. So I'm like, hey, you guys know what's going on out there? All these tents and booths? Is this some kind of, like, what's going on? And they said, the guy was telling me about it. So they gave me like kind of a really short answer. I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought that was going to be it. So I was like, cool, keep moving. And they're like, oh, so actually what's going on is, and they told me what was going on. And I don't know. I just don't know. I think objectively speaking, I think it does count because my intent was to talk to a stranger and I did so. And we went back and forth 3 or 4 times. And then, as opposed to me completely ignoring it. So that's kind of how I'm basing these things. So if I, for example, if I go, and I haven't done this obviously, but if I go to a drive-thru and I'm paying for my food or whatever, obviously I have to talk to this person to communicate. Like, no, I don't want napkins. No, I'm good. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. But I don't have to engage in some sort of conversation or dialogue. So me doing that counts. But if, for example, I walk up to a librarian and I'm curious about a book, I feel like that conversation doesn't count at all because every single part of that conversation would have had to have happened for me to get the information about the book. It's like, that's the purpose of that conversation. So if I get all that information about the book or whatever, because I have to talk about that to the librarian anyway, so it doesn't count. But if I go kind of off topic and I'm like, oh, nice necklace, blah, blah, I feel like that counts. And that's kind of how I'm basing all my conversations. So there's been a few times where I'm talking to people and I'm like, I would have had to have talked to them anyway. So it probably doesn't count. But then I'm like, no, because the level of conversation or the tiers of dialogue that we had, those go a little bit further than surface level of whatever this person does. So anyway, that's kind of how I'm basing it. And so that conversation I just had, I didn't have to ask them that. They didn't have to say anything. But here's the thing, and I'm going to switch gears here for a sec. It's so silly, but like the feeling afterward, it's a good feeling, dude. It's like, yeah, I just faced my fears. So I think that's also an indicator that I'm doing it. So if I didn't feel that way, then it's probably not working. So I guess I can just use that as the criteria. If afterward I feel a sense of pride or like, whew, I did it kind of thing, then probably counts. So, but yeah, I overthink the shit, because a random act of kindness, I could go pick up 5 pieces of trash in this park right now. I mean, that's random. It's an act of kindness. It's an act of service. It is, period. But the fact that I overthink it, I'm like, I don't know if it actually counts because it's only 5 pieces of garbage. I could have done 40, You hear that? They're partying. So I don't know, I just overthink it so bad. I just want to do it right. I don't want to be like, what, that conversation probably didn't count. Shit. Got to go back out and grab another stranger and talk with them, you know? So I think I talked about this yesterday, the random act of kindness, you know? Let's see. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I just think about the random act of kindness. I don't know. And two in my head about it. I think it's just that I'm so paranoid about failing. I'm doing everything. Like I'm in God mode, right? That's if you've read the 75 Hard book, Andy Frisella talks about the different phases that you go through as far as being in the program itself. So day 1 through 14, you're just so hyped and you're ready, you know? And then day 14 through whatever, and that's a different phase. He describes the last however many days as just being in God mode. Meaning like no matter what, you probably can't fail because you're so in tune with what you got to do, and you're just fired up because you're about to complete it, and it's so sick, you know? That's kind of how I feel. Like there's no way in hell I'm going to fail, you know? Because today's day 14, so almost halfway, which is crazy. Time's flying. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't stoked to be finished with this and get this award under my belt, if you will. So, but maybe that's where the paranoia comes from. I'm just not trying to fail, you know? So that's kind of why I overthink the shit. So anyway, that's all I got for that topic. As far as sales and shit go, so with a door-to-door opportunity that I have, I've got a door-to-door thing coming up. Sorry, there's so many cars driving around me. Hold on. That door-to-door thing is, I say coming up, but I don't know because the communication from these guys is just so shit. And I think it's funny, but I asked the guy questions. I'm like, hey, I got a few more questions for you. So for some context, I had a phone call with the guy. So I'm gonna tell the whole story because I feel like I have to. If someone's gonna listen to this in 9 years, be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I was out delivering boxes, came across some guy doing door-to-door sales, and we happened to go to the same exact door at the same time. And I said, hey, dude, and like fast forward like some bullshit conversation, some small talk. I'm like, hey, you know what? Matter of fact, do you know of any part-time sales positions on the weekends? And he was like, you know what? I might. Let me grab your number and I'll let you know. And I took that immediately as like, yeah, you don't. It's all good. You're trying to be nice. It's fine. So I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Here's my number. He sent me a text. Then a month goes by, he sends me another text, and he says, hey, man, I found you something. I'll link you with the guy, blah, blah, blah. So I get in touch with the guy. Meanwhile, the communication this far has been so shit, so sporadic, and it's just so annoying. Like, just talk to me, you know? So the other guy sends me a message, and he says, hey, here's the job. This is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. You free for a quick call? And I'm like, yeah. So I hop on the phone call, start discussing the program or the position. Pretty much tells me I'm hired on the spot, which is so crazy to me. I guess this is how 100% commission jobs work. Didn't know that. Then he says, oh, actually, hold on. I got a phone call. I'll call you right back. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And no call back that day. And then the next day, no call back, no text, nothing. And then the next day, Sunday, no call back, no text, nothing. And the next day, all the way up until I think it was like 7 p.m., no call, no text. But at 7, sends me a text and says, hey, sorry, I was very busy this weekend. And he says, feel free to shoot your questions over. And my first question, I was like, hey, this might sound harsh, but is communication a low priority for you? Because I want to know what I'm getting myself into. And he says, no, communication is not a low priority for me. I'm just very busy. And dude, what a red flag, right? No one is too busy to be a decent human being and say, hey, you know what? I'm really busy. I've got shit going on for the next 8 years. Probably can't text you then. Hope you understand. Shit, I just said that with my voice. So with voice memo right there, that's 3 seconds. You're not too busy for that. So I don't like that. It means, that literally means that communication is a low priority if he does
You know, I mean, to be fair, I don't know what he's got going on. He could be, you know, doing everything all at once, running 10 companies, got 38 kids, you know, he's got 5 PhD programs. He might be doing it all. But don't be in an industry where you're talking to people and servicing people to where communication is literally the only way that things get done. And then have that be so shit in comparison to everything else. Because now I'm left hanging and it's just such a red flag. I'm just such a turnoff. So anyway, since that happened, I've looked at different positions for door to door for no other reason than to gain experience and to get uncomfortable. I mean, obviously, every door to door position says that they pay well and they pay this and it's great. And I'm not even bullshitting when I say this, but like, even if I got paid like $50 a day, I would still do it. And that's because I want to learn. But the cool thing is it's a very lucrative industry if you get good at it. But my intent is to get good because I'm never going to give up. And if I never give up and I keep pushing forward, then the likelihood that I reach that super lucrative level is inevitable. So it's just going to happen as a byproduct of me doing the thing. So I think about it that way, and I'm like, yeah, this is absolutely something that I want to do because it would give me a lot of reps every single day. I would talk to a stranger, provided, you know, they all say no, for example, every 1 to 2 minutes, whereas I do that maybe once a day now, and I have to force myself to do it. So I applied for 2 other places just using Indeed. And if you're listening in 20 years, Indeed is just a website that you go on to find jobs. So went on there, applied for 2 more. I got one that reached out to me. They said, hey, schedule a call. We want to interview you. And I'm like, cool. So I scheduled a call. There's no confirmation email sent like it says it did. So I sent him another message and I'm like, hey, I'm not getting any confirmation. I don't know if this is going through. Just want to let you know. No response. Then it happened again. So I sent him another message and I was like, okay, so we'll just pass on these guys. Then apply for another one. They gave me a call. It was very quick too. It was great. Communication was on, like boom, boom, boom. And so I hop on the call with them. They tell me, hey, so you want to do this? It's door to door? You sure? Great, awesome. So it's full time, blah, blah, blah. We'll pay for travel. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just looking for part time, just weekend. He says, oh, okay, yeah, okay. All right, thanks. Just like that. And I'm like, oh, all right, bye. And that was a conversation. So it was like boom, boom, boom. Imagine this whole conversation, me talking and you're the person listening, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, yeah, thanks. And that was the end of the conversation. That's how I'm going to end the show today, actually, just to prove a point. It's fucking weird, man. Like, don't do that. Dude, why do people suck so bad at talking? Or not talking. Why do people suck so bad at just being considerate or, I don't know, man. It's weird to me. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. Don't know when that's coming down the pipeline. But I'm just trying to figure that out. In the meantime, I'm going to continue working FedEx. That's for sure. Pays a lot more than door to door does at entry level right now, I would say. So I crossed the goddamn crosswalk again. Let's see. Thank you. So when I talked with one of my bosses and I asked him if I could work every Sunday now. And so he said yes. So right now, I think as of today, not as of today, a few days ago, as of moving forward, I work every day now. And that's very loose. Like, it's not 1000% official, because the way I phrased it was like, hey, I missed the last few Sundays. Can I just make them up for back to back going forward? So I'd work every Sunday for the next little bit. He said, yeah, for sure. No problem at all. So I'm going to take that, run with it, get some extra money. Because if I do that 2 extra times per month, it's an extra $400 of gross income. So that's cool. So with taxes, that's closer to about $350-ish, $360. So that's helpful. Because the way that I see, how long has this show been going for, dude? Okay, we're good. So the way that I see the personal training thing it takes, for me, trying to perfect this offer and make it so good people feel stupid saying no. That's where all my time and work is going when I have quote unquote free time. So that's what I work on. And so when I think about putting in maybe the next, I mean, I'm going to exaggerate here, but even the next 6 months worth of work, and it should not take me that long. But even if it did, 6 months worth of work. So probably a total of about 9, about 8. 8 months worth of work to then have this finished product to where I get leads regularly and I get opportunities to have phone calls and stuff in practice. We'll just say, I don't know, 3 to 5 times per week to start. Maybe it goes up to 10, maybe it goes up to 15, whatever. And that gives me a lot of reps then, so I make this big old product, this big, great program. It goes great. And then I get all the time to practice moving forward. So, and then, so I'll have, cutest little kid just walked by me. So then I'll have all those, I don't know what you call them, reps, attempts, trials, whatever, to make a sale. On top of, when I do make a sale, it'll be $1,000 or more as far as paid in full or contracted. So I'm really distracted right now. So when I think about it that way, yeah, I think it's a good trade. 9 months worth of work for no payment to then have the potential to start making like 30 grand a month if I really push for it. You know what I mean? So something delivered to my house already? That's wild. So yeah, Rando workout's done. So anyway, yeah, I'm so distracted. I'm so sorry. So I think about the time that I need to invest to work on the thing versus the return on investment. And it's kind of reassuring because doing all this work to have this big offer that will allow me to, I guess, just practice and do exactly what I'm trying to do. So anyway, how that relates to FedEx, which is what I'm saying, is, I'm tired. Is right now I'm making money and I have a livable wage and I'm doing all right. And that's what I need at the moment. So as far as sacrificing time, moving time around, oh, dude, I'm tired. So, see, I would edit the fuck out of this because this is so bad, but whatever, dude. So I'm spending more time working FedEx for about $30-ish an hour. To think that I'm limiting myself at $30 an hour makes me feel kind of embarrassed. $30 for an hour of my time. I know that I'm worth more than that. So when I think about it in that sense, I'm like, dude, this sucks. I got to quit and go do something that can make me more money. But I think what is best is focusing, not saying doing, but focusing on my program. I mean, I wrote this thing on my whiteboard. I'll even share it with you guys. But focusing on what I can do now to move forward while also doing the things that kind of keep me afloat. And right now, that is working FedEx and doing that. So for the time being, maybe FedEx is what I ought to keep doing because that pays the bills and still allows me time to work on my stuff. Not as much time as I'd like, but gives me time nonetheless. So with that in mind, maybe that's what I'll keep doing, right? Just focus on paying the bills, getting stuff like that taken care of, especially since I'm working every day period now. So that's cool. As far as ego and pride goes, like, yeah, I'm a badass, I'm a baller, I work every day. As far as, dropping the ego and being like, I need more time for my business here, that sucks, So yeah, anyway, that's kind of the plan. That's what I'm thinking. And again, just want to reiterate, I'm not making these for anybody to listen to now. These are all so that you can listen in 8 years and listen to what I was thinking, how I made the decisions I made, and how I ended up where I ended up. Because if one day I own a Lamborghini, Why the fuck did I say that? One day when I own a Lamborghini, you're going to be able to see the blueprint and the day by day of how I made it to the Lamborghini. And so like today, I think it's a critical day. Lots of thoughts, lots of decisions being made in my mind, lots of different routes explored mentally, and inevitably it led to me owning a Lamborghini. So I think none of these will be valuable or insightful or whatever until I do something, right? If I do all this for 20 years, I don't make a single sale, I'm a failure, whatever, then this podcast goes to shit. So all of this is kind of banking on the fact that I do make it and I do achieve some sort of something later on in life. And if I don't, then it, got to be one big failure of a project. But it's not going to happen. So I'm really confident in that. I mean, I've already made so much growth in the last 266 days. Shit. Almost 1 year ago today, right? 15 more days after today that I'll have started 75 hard. My life changed forever, That's all it took, just 1 year. So if I think about that 1 year, and that 1 year is like the boot camp for the rest of my life, then shit, dude, I am off to the races. And I'm only 27, dude. I'm only 27. That's so cool. I wish I was 17, but I'm not, So life lessons learned the hard way, but it is what it is. 27 is still pretty young. It's a lot better than being 47 and doing this and starting. And for the record, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's when that podcast would end. So to think that I'm starting now, a lot of successful people have started way late. Like Colonel Sanders, right, for KFC, started 60 something, right, or 70 something. Isn't that right? Think about all the U.S. presidents. Who's the youngest one? Well, I guess in recent times, I think older times they're all young as fuck, real men. But anyway. Yeah, that's the show. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening. And quick reminder here. So this podcast doesn't prioritize professionalism or quality at all. It's just meant to be a shoot from the hip type podcast with the intent just to get a quick message out. So some episodes might be inaudible in 30 seconds and others might be 45 minutes and super crisp sounding. So all these are being made so that by episode 7,305, which is 20 years, we can come back and see the entire playbook of how I made it to wherever I'm going. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.